Do you ever feel like something about your life, your way of thinking, or your relationships doesn't quite match the fast paced world around you? Maybe it's the way you remember simpler times, or how you react when surrounded by constant distractions. Perhaps you find it challenging to connect with the people around you who seem to constantly keep up with the ever evolving world. Do you feel like your traits and ways of thinking are getting lost in a sea of quick decisions and rapid technological changes? But could that actually be a good thing? If you grew up in the 1970s, your world was fundamentally different from the one we live in now. Back then, technology hadn't yet reached the level of intrusion we now experience daily. There were no smartphones demanding your attention every second. You didn't have the overwhelming pressure of social media notifications interrupting your thoughts. Your world was slower, quieter, and more deliberate. You probably remember times when life felt simpler, when you could focus on something for longer than a few minutes without being distracted. You might find yourself reflecting on how much more peaceful everything seemed back then, perhaps even how the moments you shared with others felt more genuine. But now, in today's fast paced world, you might feel like an outsider, out of sync with the constant rush. Maybe it seems like everyone else is moving faster, processing more, and engaging with a world that's louder, quicker, and more interconnected than the one you knew. This shift has likely impacted your identity and how you see yourself. You may sometimes feel that the way you approach relationships and tasks slowly with thoughtfulness isn't valued in today's world. Decisions seem to come quicker, and it's as though people no longer pause long enough to reflect. Does this disconnect bother you? It's easy to feel like you're missing out on something, as if the traits you developed from your upbringing don't fit into this modern world. The truth is, you are not alone in this feeling. There are millions of people like you who grew up in a time when things were more physical, more present, and perhaps more real. But what if these traits aren't something you need to fix? What if instead they give you an edge? Before you start thinking that something is wrong with you, consider this. You are not broken. The traits you've developed, the way you approach relationships and tasks, are not flaws, they are adaptations. You see, our brains are shaped by the environment we grow up in. This process is called cognitive adaptation. In the 1970s, life moved slower. There wasn't the constant barrage of information we receive today. You grew up in an environment that, though less connected and less instantaneous, allowed your brain to develop traits like deep focus, introspection, and a tendency to form meaningful connections. These are traits that might feel out of place in today's world, but are actually incredibly valuable. In modern society, people are often expected to jump from task to task without pause. Yet your brain has developed a certain resilience to this. The very things that make you feel out of sync are the things that allow you to reflect deeply, connect on a real level, and navigate the modern world in a way others might not be able to. So let's take a moment to honor that. You are not a product of what's missing. You are a product of what has always been. You have developed valuable traits that, when understood and used in the right way, can become powerful tools in today's world. Now, let's break this down. Why is it that you seem to thrive in quiet reflection while others are often rushing or constantly distracted? The answer lies in how your brain has adapted to the world around you. In the 1970s, you lived in an environment with fewer distractions. Your brain was not constantly bombarded by stimuli from screens, ads, or constant chatter. Your brain became highly attuned to what was important in a slower-paced world, like long-term goals, deep connections, and thoughtful decision-making. Cognitive scientists have found that our brains tend to become filtered by the world around us. This means that your brain learned to filter out the noise and focus on what truly mattered: your thoughts, the world around you, and the people close to you. The current world, with its overwhelming stimuli, doesn't allow this deep focus to happen as easily, but your brain is a finely tuned instrument that has learned how to block out distractions and focus deeply when needed. Think of your brain like an old film camera. Newer models adjust quickly to light changes and fast-moving images, but your camera takes time. It zooms in slowly, carefully focusing on what's important. This trait, developed from your upbringing, is now an advantage. It allows you to focus, reflect, and act with intention. How can you apply these traits in today's world? How can you take these strengths and use them to thrive in the modern world? Let's explore a few ways you can build on this slower, more reflective side of yourself. Step 1. Embrace deep focus. What to do? Carve out time each day for uninterrupted, focused work. Turn off distractions and fully immerse yourself in one task at a time. Why it works? Your brain excels when it can focus deeply. By reducing distractions, you enter a flow state, which boosts both productivity and happiness. When you focus on one thing at a time, your brain releases dopamine, which enhances cognitive function and your sense of accomplishment. Example, you might set aside an hour each morning, free from distractions, to work on a personal project. By the end of that hour, you'll feel a deeper connection to the work you're doing and a sense of fulfillment. Step 2. Use reflection to make better decisions. What to do? Allow yourself time each day to reflect, whether through journaling or a quiet walk. Give your brain space to process complex thoughts and emotions. Why it works? Reflecting helps you think clearly, preventing impulsive decisions. Your brain processes information more effectively when given time to think. By giving yourself that space, you avoid overthinking and make decisions that are aligned with your values. Example, before making a significant life decision, you take a walk in nature, allowing your mind to wander and settle on what feels right. By the end of the walk, you have a clearer sense of what you want. Step 3. Cultivate meaningful relationships. What to do? Focus on the depth of your relationships. Instead of spreading yourself thin with countless acquaintances, invest time in the few that truly matter. Why it works? Meaningful relationships stimulate oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Your brain craves deep, intimate connections that foster trust and emotional support. Example, instead of attending a large party where you don't feel connected to anyone, you choose to have a quiet dinner with a close friend. This deepens the bond and creates lasting memories. Step 4. Resist the urge to keep up. What to do? Allow yourself to move at your own pace. Resist the pressure to constantly keep up with trends, technology, or societal expectations. Why it works? When you don't give in to external pressure, your brain experiences less cognitive dissonance, leading to greater peace of mind. By staying true to yourself, you avoid the mental strain that comes from trying to fit into someone else's mold. Example, you notice a new trend that seems to be everyone is jumping on, but you don't feel the need to follow. Instead, you focus on what truly aligns with your values, leading to greater contentment and self-acceptance. By now, you might have noticed a pattern. All these steps revolve around the same principle: slow down to move forward. Your brain, shaped by a quieter time, thrives when given the chance to focus, reflect, and form deep connections. Think of your brain as a garden that you tend to patiently. You plant seeds of focus, of thoughtfulness, and of care. These traits grow over time, slowly, but with a richness that no rushed, hasty action can replicate. In today's world, where everything seems fast and fleeting, your ability to slow down and truly focus can be a powerful advantage. Your traits, your deep focus, your love for meaningful connections, your reflective nature are not out of place. They are exactly what's needed to navigate this noisy world. As you go through your day, remember this. It's okay to move at your own pace. Not everyone is meant to race through life, and sometimes the quietest moments hold the most meaning. When everything feels too fast, take a step back, breathe, and remember that you have a unique perspective. Embrace it. The world may be moving at lightning speed, but you don't have to. You can find peace, clarity, and fulfillment in the slow, thoughtful moments. Now that we've covered how to integrate deep focus and reflection into your life, let's explore a few more steps to ensure these traits are working for you in the modern world. The world may be fast-paced, but you have a unique ability to navigate it with patience and purpose. Step 5. Foster your natural curiosity. What to do? Allow your mind to wander. Be curious about the world around you, but don't rush to find answers. Embrace exploration and discovery. Why it works? Your brain thrives on curiosity. When you follow your curiosity, you activate the dopaminergic system, which enhances your capacity to learn and create. Curiosity allows you to engage deeply with topics that interest you without the pressure to rush to conclusions. This mindset opens the door to deeper understanding and creativity. Example, you might spend an afternoon diving into a new hobby, maybe learning a musical instrument or studying a new subject. You aren't focused on perfecting the skill right away, but on exploring the topic with the same childlike curiosity you had as a child. As you explore, you find yourself more engaged and more content rather than stressed about reaching a specific outcome. Step 6. Set intentional boundaries. What to do? Create healthy boundaries in your personal and professional life. Know when to say no and when to say yes. Protect your time and mental space. Why it works? Your brain has a limited capacity for processing information. When you say yes to everything, you overwhelm your cognitive load, which leads to stress and burnout. By setting boundaries, you allow your brain to focus on what truly matters, preserving your mental energy and improving your emotional well-being. Example, at work, you have a tendency to say yes to every new project or idea that comes your way, but you decide to change that. Instead, you assess each opportunity based on how it aligns with your long-term goals and whether it supports your well-being. You learn to say no when it's necessary, giving yourself the space to focus on what truly matters. Step 7. Practice slow decision-making. What to do? Instead of rushing to make decisions, give yourself time to consider all options. Slow down, reflect, and gather your thoughts before making important decisions. Why it works? The decision-making process involves activating the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for planning and rational thought. When you rush through decisions, your brain relies more on impulsive reactions, leading to less optimal outcomes. Slowing down allows your prefrontal cortex to engage fully, helping you make more thoughtful, deliberate choices. Example, when deciding whether to accept a new job offer, you resist the urge to make a quick decision. Instead, you take a few days to reflect, consider your long-term goals, and even discuss the decision with trusted friends. By the time you make your choice, you feel more confident and at peace with the decision. As we continue to explore these practical steps, it's important to understand how these changes affect your brain on a deeper level. Why does slowing down and reflecting have such a profound impact on your emotional and cognitive health? When you take time to focus, reflect, and set boundaries, you engage in behaviors that support the brain's natural ability to process information more effectively. Think of it like restoring an old car. It's not about rushing to fix everything in one go, but rather taking time to nurture and care for each part. In modern life, we're constantly exposed to stressors, constant work pressures, societal expectations, and the overwhelming flood of information from digital devices. This creates a state of cognitive overload, which makes it harder to process information and make clear decisions. The constant pressure to keep up leads to mental fatigue, and the brain struggles to maintain focus or make thoughtful choices. However, by embracing slow living, deep focus, and curiosity, you create a mental environment where your brain can process information in a more controlled way. You allow it to reset and perform at its best. The more you practice these steps, the more you create a sense of mental clarity and emotional stability, even in a fast-moving world. For example, when you focus on one task at a time, you reduce the cognitive load on your brain, helping to preserve your mental energy. This is especially important for avoiding burnout, which is often caused by constantly switching tasks and multitasking. Additionally, when you create boundaries and practice slow decision-making, you allow your brain to make more deliberate choices, avoiding the decision fatigue that arises from making too many quick decisions. By reducing the number of decisions you need to make in a day, you free up cognitive resources for the things that truly matter. In this way, the psychological benefits of slow living aren't just a passive form of coping, they are active strategies for increasing productivity, emotional well-being, and cognitive health. As we learn to embrace these slower, more reflective behaviors, we empower ourselves to navigate the complexities of modern life with confidence and clarity. Now that you've started to integrate some of these practices into your daily life, how can you ensure these changes continue to support you in the long run? The key is consistency. The more you practice these reflective behaviors, the more natural they will become. Think of it like building muscle at the gym. The more you work at it, the stronger your ability to focus, reflect, and make slow, intentional decisions becomes. Step 8. Cultivate patience with yourself. What to do? Be patient with yourself as you integrate these changes. Understand that growth takes time and that setbacks are part of the journey. Why it works? The brain is wired for habits. When you introduce new behaviors, it takes time for the brain to rewire itself and create new pathways. Being patient allows you to avoid the stress of perfectionism and embrace the process of growth. Example: after a few weeks of practicing slow decision-making, you notice that you still tend to rush through some choices. Instead of being frustrated, you remind yourself that change takes time and that every small step forward is progress. Step 9. Make space for mindful rest. What to do? Take intentional breaks throughout your day to reset. Use this time for mindfulness, deep breathing, or simply sitting in silence. Why it works? Rest allows your brain to process and consolidate information. In neuroscience, this is known as the brain's default mode network, the system that helps your brain consolidate memories and process emotions during periods of rest. By making space for rest, you give your brain the time it needs to reset. You've now explored how the traits you developed growing up in the 1970s can serve as powerful tools in today's fast-paced world. By embracing these traits, you're aligning with your natural ability to focus, reflect, and build meaningful connections. As you go through your day, take this thought with you. You are not broken. The world may be speeding by, but you have the power to move at your own pace, to slow down when needed, and to make deliberate choices that serve your well-being. In a world that often demands quick results and fast decisions, your ability to reflect deeply and act thoughtfully is a gift. You are not out of place. You are exactly where you need to be. The quieter moments you cherish are the foundation for a more balanced, thoughtful life. Remember, slow